and explore the UK market. This event is organized in collaboration with our cooperation partner, the Department of International Trade from the UK, and we're working together here with the embassy, the British Embassy here in Helsinki. And it's a huge honor to present to you today our guests of honor, Her Majesty's Ambassador to Finland, Mr. Tom Dodd. Welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you, Katja, and tervetuloa. Welcome everybody to this webinar, which is really going to talk about how you can get into the UK market and what a great market it is to be as a tech company. And thanks very much to Katja and Innovation House for helping organize this, and to my team here also in the embassy. Obviously, one of the big things that is keeping me busy at the moment is the future relationship agreements between the UK and European Union, which is being negotiated at pace at the moment. Obviously, on the UK side, we're very hopeful of an agreement. I know the EU side is also hopeful of agreement, and hopefully within the next couple of days and weeks, that should be in place. I would say, of course, regardless if we have an agreement or we don't have an agreement, the UK remains a great place to do business. In all of the international business surveys, it's seen as one of the easiest places to operate, to set up a company. We have a very competitive tax system for investors, one of the lowest corporation taxes in the G20. We actually have had a record amount of investment in the tech sector in the UK, about 20 billion euros last year, the largest investment actually in Europe. And we have a number of really fast-growing tech hubs, not just in London, but in other parts of the UK. I mean, again, part of my government's policy. There's further announced details on this coming up this afternoon. We have an announcement from our Chancellor, our Finance Minister, is Billy to encourage growth throughout the United Kingdom. There are some really important tech hubs outside London, including in Manchester, I think, where you'll be hearing, I think, a bit later about from Firstbeat, who have a base in the Manchester Tech Hub. I actually had the pleasure of meeting them. Actually, I went to Jyväskylä some time ago and met their company there. So it's really good to hear from them and their great story of investing in the UK. It's a great place to be. So have good luck with this webinar. You're going to hear a lot of details about the UK ecosystem for tech and tech companies. My team here is always ready to provide assistance. So if you have any detailed follow-up questions about how to operate in the UK market, the extensive support that's available from the UK government and regional bodies, be in touch with DIT Helsinki and they will help you. But have a great time, and thank you very much. Bye-bye. Handing back to you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. That is a great overview on the situation, and wonderful to hear about all the support that you offer our companies wanting to expand there. So thank you very much for accompanying us today.
Kiitos.
Kiitos. So for the next, I would like to introduce our co-host and cooperation partner. So the investment team at the Department of International Trade at the UK Embassy here in Helsinki. Please welcome Saara Majuri and Mari Aaltonen.
Hi, yes, thank you for the kind introduction, Petti, and thanks to the Innovation Home team for great cooperation in organizing this event. Hello and welcome on behalf of the team of the UK's Department for International Trade based here at the British Embassy in Helsinki. We're very excited to see many new as well as some familiar faces here today, and overall delighted to see a lot of interest towards the opportunities the UK market offers. So my name is Saara Majuri, and I have my colleague Mari Aaltonen also on the line here today, and we are both senior investment advisors based here in Helsinki, as the ambassador mentioned. So we support Finnish companies interested in entering the UK market, and especially at the stage when you are in need of a more permanent foothold there. That is, if you're looking into establishing a UK LTD or recruiting local employees, carrying out R&D or opening an office there. But we can also help you explore the opportunities the market offers if your company is only starting to consider international expansion or taking the first steps to that direction now. So please keep us in mind and see us as the first contact point when thinking about the UK. And feel free to get in touch if you're planning to expand your operations to the market, or if you already have operations in the UK and would need some support for further growth. Our services are completely free of charge and confidential, and we have a broad network of experts also locally in the UK, and you will be hearing today from our UK-based colleague Andrew a bit more in detail about the services we offer. But I hope you have your questions ready for him and also for our other excellent speakers, but we'll be putting also our contact details in the chat for follow-up, and in case you would have some more specific questions we will be covering during the webinar. But we're looking forward to interesting and lively discussion with you all. But that's it from my side now, and thank you, and over to you, Peppi.
Thank you. Wow, that is an incredible team you have there and doing such great work to help these companies. And I'm seeing people online. We've got people online from the UK, from Finland. I see a lot of innovative companies who are established in Finland, some who already have business on many other markets. So I think we get to cover a lot of interesting aspects here. And as Sara mentioned, we have the chat line open. So please put your questions through. We're going to have a Q&A session at the very end. You can put your questions in the chat. We'll be asking as many questions as we have time for, but we will also make sure that we answer the questions, all of the questions afterwards, if we don't have time for all of them right now. So you can write the question in the chat. You can send them privately or publicly. We'll get back to you. If you wish to receive the answers for all the questions asked in the chat, make sure you send us your contact details. You can do that privately, and we'll make sure we send a recap and a follow-up to everyone, because there's so many things to cover, and we've got so many experts here that I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions more. But now I am so thrilled to present our guests for today. We have from London, Melina Jacovou, who is the founder and CEO of Propel. And she is a pioneer for the London's digital talent ecosystem, really. Founded Propel in 2001 in London, which is one of the UK's largest independent digital talent businesses right now. Melina has done so much work. I won't have time to go through everything, but she's helped hundreds of companies grow in the UK, helped as an advisor, an investor, as a mentor. The list is very, very long. Mel, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I was so excited when you invited me, so thank you so much.
Thank you. And also in the UK, we have Toby Murray, who is the head of international sales at Firstbeat Technologies, a company that we surely know well here in Finland. It's even renowned in the world, already in 40+ markets, I believe. And Toby has incredible insights on, of course, entering the UK market, but also he is half Finnish and half English. So he has a great side of both of the sides as well. So welcome, Toby. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Peppi. My pleasure.
Wonderful. So we also have Andrew Elwick. He's going to be talking to us a little bit later. So he's from the Department of International Trade, sitting in the UK. So a colleague of Sara and Mari, but based there locally with incredible experience of helping international companies get to the UK market and navigate in the UK market, really. So thank you also, Andrew, for joining us. We will be getting back to you a little bit later, but good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Wonderful. So before I go to our questions for the day, to Mel and Toby, I wanted to sort of get a little bit of a first message, because we have all these amazing companies online waiting to absorb all the do's and don'ts of what you should do on the market. Especially now with the current situation, there's been Brexit, the pandemic, and the situation is overall perhaps more confusing than it has been before. And we all know that the UK market is probably the most desired market in Europe, And so what would your message be to the first message sort of to all of our companies here online today about entering the UK market? Melanie?
Mel,
Melina, sorry.
go straight in with this one. Come, you know, look, we know Brexit, it's been going on for how many years now? We don't know what's going to happen. We know with the pandemic, we don't know what's going to happen. We know we're going to live with it for the next 6 months at very, very least. If you're a disruptive business and you're seriously considering making that move, I would just get on with it, because other people are, and they really genuinely are. High growth tech companies that are ambitious, inquisitive, disruptive, and making that move, they're not standing still. So I encourage you to come, and I encourage you to seek advice, because it is an easy thing to do and it's really enjoyable, and you'll be super successful if you just take that move and go for it. So on a positive note and a genuine note, come over and see what's going on and seek some advice, because really disruptive businesses are doing that. Over to you, Toby.
Mel, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I would definitely just encourage companies to keep pushing, concentrate, look at your own business. If, as you said, Mel, if it's disruptive, there's always room in the market. The UK market is such a large place compared to the market in Finland. There's so much happening all the time. It's more about finding your place in that market and creating those contacts and really just moving forward with your business opportunities.
Excellent. So really now is the time, as we're kind of in a bit of a standstill, to make all the preparations to be able to enter the market and sort of land running. And with the help of the DIT team, I'm sure this is exactly the time to take action. Fantastic. So Mel, what would you say are the, I'd say 3, but you can mention more if you like, 3 most rewarding facts about doing business in London or in the UK?
So in the UK, because back to the point at the beginning, and this isn't just about London, there's Manchester where Toby is, there's Liverpool, there's Cambridge, there's Leeds, the list goes on and on and on. And the UK government are invested in all these hubs. So if you consider the UK, well, I'm going to go for the first thing, which is an easy win for me, talent. There's lots of talent and it's everywhere and it's super diverse, it's super rich. The depth of it is magnificent. We are growing that talent pool. Because for many, many years, we've started to eventually see IPOs, we've seen investment. So talent. The next thing I will go for is super diversity. There's lots of different types of individuals, whether that's gender, LGBT+, BAME, it doesn't matter. There's lots of different rich talent pool. Accessibility, it's really easy to get around. It's not difficult. It's a really ambitious culture and people love international companies. They love them. I mean, we've been bringing them over for a couple of decades now. So you an international business from a talent perspective, coming to the UK, it's super attractive. But over to Toby now, because I could go on for hours. Over to you, Toby.
Yeah, I definitely concur on the talent side. There's such a wealth of different talent in the UK. Also, the geography. London's a unique, wonderful place, but if you want to see England, you need to leave London. There's Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Newcastle, a lot of sort of technology hubs also in sort of the northern parts of England. For a company from Finland, Finnish companies are seen as high quality technology, high quality digital solutions. So that's definitely a strength. Highlight that, but also remember the cultural sort of part of operating in the UK. So it's really important to form those partnerships, have that relationship with the people you're working with, and really establish yourself in the market.
That's amazing. And really, London is such a hot pot of talent and culture and diversity that I feel like going and opening Innovation Home in London right now, just listening to you. So, but you mentioned a little bit about the high tech, etc. What would you say, which are the kind of markets and the different sectors where you see the most growth at the moment?
Well, this is a really interesting question. So thank you ever so much. Look, it's changed because of the circumstances we're in. Okay. With the pandemic, technology has pivoted, and the organizations and the techs that are being really super successful, are quite obvious. We've got a lot going on in medtech, as you can begin to imagine. We're landing medtech businesses all the time, not just internationally, but domestically. EdTech, obviously, another one that's super busy. We're doing a lot around remote working. You can imagine that's really an e-collaboration tools. There's a lot around e-commerce happening and pushing forward. So all these things are moving at speed, and actually there's been an uptick in those. But mobility is another one. You must have seen that in Finland, mobility scooters. There's lots of funding around that. So it's really a super, super exciting time. And I go back to the same point. You're a business that's disruptive. There's room for you in this market. Toby, over to you on that one, I suppose.
In addition to those, obviously, Firstbeat operates in the sort of the health and wellness sector. So we're seeing a huge uptake and interest in the market in how do companies take care of their employees, especially in this remote working environment. Just wellness technologies, taking care of your own fitness, health, wellness. All of those markets are globally seen to have a exponential growth span, but obviously COVID has accelerated a lot of this. So that's really in addition to the markets that Mel mentioned.
Wonderful. That's some incredible opportunities right there, and many of the companies listening are exactly in those medtech and edtech industries. So very, very exciting for them. Now more about the challenges. Are there some kind of specific challenges that you've come across whilst building your business in the UK that you could mention and perhaps illustrate how you've managed to overcome those?
I think I'm going to use Toby on that one. I could wrap on, but he can actually give really knowledgeable recent experience.
Sure. Well, there are always challenges when entering a new market. What I'd say is that every challenge is also an opportunity. So to name a few, in Finland, we obviously have a very high level of trust when doing business, and that's really viewed as a positive thing in the UK. However, don't take that for granted. It's very important to also build that relationship, have an open discussion, small things like taking time to have an overall chat, small talk, creating those things. So remember to get out and meet people. As said in the beginning, I'm half Finnish, half English, so sometimes I'm in the middle of things. So it's really, really important to follow your strategy and really make a decision to enter the market. So invest and stick with it, to mention one.
Yeah, and I think you made a really valid point there. I think sometimes when we look so closely as within Europe, we fail to remember that there is still a cultural difference, and there's still a lot of aspects to learn and to remember to consider in terms of difference in culture. Mel, as a recruiter, you've seen many successful projects of recruitment and perhaps some less successful ones as well, of these huge international companies coming to the UK. What would you say are the most important aspects when you're hiring your first UK employee?
So these are really practical, and they seem simple, but they're simple if you do it. And if you don't think about it, they're not that simple, because they're mistakes you just make. And how on earth did I do that? Plan. Really plan and do your due diligence. Consider what your business is and who you are and what you do and how you can enter that market. And you do that by understanding, have you got any marketing skills internally that can help support you to get your brand known in the UK market? Secondary to that, do you have anyone that works in your organisation currently that has a network in the UK market? And how can they help you push your brand to that market? Then look at DIT. The DIT team are amazing. They know everyone in the UK. They can plug you in to so many different people. So use them and really understand what their skill sets are. So that's from a networking and a branding perspective. Then when we get into the actual role, okay, I see this consistently. An organisation thinks they want one thing and actually they want another. They might think, oh yes, we need a GM. They don't need a GM. What they need is a really fantastic commercial individual to win them some business, to get them up and running. So understand the job spec, understand the skills, And then talk to organisations like us and really consider, I mean that genuinely, really consider, if you don't find that individual in your current network, which I suggest you try, then consider using a partner that can really accelerate you, that knows the market from a talent perspective. And then when you've decided to do what route you're going to do, make sure that you get all the kind of logistics right, which is understanding your vision and mission and culture, therefore understanding what questions you're going to ask, because the individual needs to be in line with the core business from the HQ business from a culture perspective. And then from a logistics perspective, again, we're all in remote working. This is going to be with us for the next probably 6 months to 12. Make sure all the tech is really super cool, super sorted, and works really, really well. So when you interact with that individual in this world, that you do it correctly and it's really efficient. So there's a couple of tips, and they seem really basic, but actually, if you get them right, they work, and it really makes it an absolutely successful relationship. But lots of due diligence, lots of planning. Don't do a distressed hire. Don't hire someone because you just think, let's get on with it. Really think about it and plan it, and seek advice from everyone in your network. I hope that answered it.
Yeah. Sorry, Toby.
I just wanted to add on to that. I mean, Firstbeat, we've been in the UK market for almost 10 years through partnerships. That's how we originally entered the market. But in the past sort of 3 years, we established our own subsidiary. So there's no one right way to do it. Have your plan, have your strategy, follow that. And I really, really emphasize Mel's point in hiring, finding that talent. It needs to be a two-way street. Don't hire someone you think has the perfect talent. Look at a partnership. They need to also sort of buy in and really have that connection to what you're doing, because essentially this individual will be the first, second or third person representing your company in a new market. So the responsibility is huge. And I'd like to think that we've done a really good job in the market sort of with our team. We've got fantastic partners that we've known for a long time who still work with us. We value them and at the same time, we've been able to grow our own team.
Those are incredible kind of golden nuggets of advice. And I guess, Mel, that if we have any companies online right now, we'll be able to put them in contact with you as well directly. And I guess Propel can help and really shine some light on this subject and help them out when they're looking to employ someone, right?
Honestly, please reach out. I'm happy to give lots of free advice, lots of support, as much as I possibly can, because fundamentally we want organisations, international organisations, to land here. And if you're successful, we're successful. And some of this stuff for me is stuff I do every day, daily, yearly, decadesly. So I'm happy to support and just give some little advice and bits and bobs that can tweak what you're going to do to get you to make that decision and not make mistakes.
That's great. And as I failed to mention in the start, Mel has worked together with the government and governments to precisely promote London as a place for business, and has got an incredible network and a wealth of experience to share. And of course, Toby as well, with all these experiences that we can really, really learn from. So that's great. And another thing I took away from there is really maybe to think sort of sales first, right? And establish that first. Is that right, Mel?
From my perspective, I think it really does depend what size the organisation's up and how much funding you've had and what your mission is and what you see your vision is. If it's you're going to just check the market out, then it would be definitely that approach. If it's you've decided you're going, no one's going to stop you, you've done your due diligence, it will be always commercial, but a bit more. It could be a product person as well. It just really depends. Take each organisation on their own merit and their funding and what their aspirations and ambitions are. But definitely make sure you've got some clients and you've got a market there. I think that's really important.
Yes. That's key. Thank you so much, Mel. And Toby, speaking of Firstbeat Technologies, you're in 40 plus countries and renowned worldwide. What was it that attracted you to the UK market in the first place? And why did Firstbeat choose England?
So, well, I mean, as the ambassador kindly mentioned in the beginning, there's such a wealth of investment opportunity. The market's really diverse and huge. So from our perspective, from the company's perspective, it was almost a no-brainer. There's a low language barrier because in Finland, everyone obviously speaks flawless English. And the cultural differences are very limited. It's easy to get into the market. In addition, I mean, we also looked at it as an opportunity-based decision where we did have a lot of good partners. We had really good relationships in the market, so it was easy to make that jump. So again, it goes back to what Mel said, looking at your vision, looking at your plan, understanding where your business has the most traction. So know your market, know your product or service, and make a decision accordingly. In addition, you obviously sort of have such good support networks because the relationship between the UK and Finland is so good from a commercial perspective.
Great, and your experience in comparison to other countries where Firstbeat operates, what would you say? Would you say that you've needed more support in the UK or less, or?
Well, the UK is one of our largest markets outside Finland. So obviously the need for support is larger in that particular market. But our business model is very partnership driven. So we have these partners all over the globe. It allows us to do things in a centralized way as well. So we have support functions both in the UK and in Finland, but not so much in other countries. The time zone is really good. So you can also access different continents from the UK. I know it's only a 2-hour time difference, but it does make a difference if you're doing West Coast US, for instance. So the UK is a gateway to the world, especially for companies from Finland. Finland is still Northern Europe, a wonderful country, but at the same time, London and the UK is quite a bit bigger. So we see it as really that kind of hub. It doesn't mean that it's the only right one. There's obviously other big cities and big regions in Europe, but we saw London as the best fit for us.
Wonderful. And that's a really good point about the time difference. That's such a big benefit when we're talking about expanding to the US or Asia, for example, then that's a challenge. And this is something that's really reduced here with the UK. Mel, I want to go back to the recruitment still because, and look at it from another angle, because London has got such a great pool of talent. What does the talent expect from its employers?
That's a brilliant question. I absolutely love that. And so it's really super important that an organisation is a serious organisation, okay? And they know exactly what their intent is, because the talent pool says lots of it. Always the best people are gainfully employed. They've got the jobs. Where they're the ones we want to employ, the ones that are already working somewhere else and being amazing at doing it. So it's about really understanding what you need, making sure that you've got the right run rate. So you've been financed and you've got enough cash to keep going, so you don't start and stop. Making sure you've got a great product and you know what you need to do with it, and absolutely understand who your clients are. Make sure you know what that vision is. Make sure that the leaders in the business are really inspirational, because people follow people. They always do. All that interview process needs to be really, really efficient, as I alluded to before. And transparency, making sure that you're really transparent with everybody that you interview, so they know the good and the bad and the ugly. You don't want someone to join and tell them it's one thing, and then 3 months later, it's actually the polar opposite. So be transparent through all those conversations, all that interview process, and have the ability to be flexible and understand that we're in a different world. The future of work looks different. So be very, very understanding that there will be some remote working as well as in the office. So I would say good product, great leadership, backing, and understanding your interview process would be my kind of top takeaway tips.
Wonderful, thank you. Toby, did you have something to add to that from your Firstbeat perspective?
Well, I mean, if you've got that list sorted that Mel pointed out, I think you're in a pretty good place. But I mean, I think I'd like to emphasize the being frank in the interview process and just sort of being honest, saying that this is new role, this is a new business, this is a new company, whatever it may be in your situation, and say that this is going to require a lot of grit, a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. Especially as an internationalizing company entering a new market, you almost need entrepreneurial people to join your team. At least, well, that's what we found. That's in my experience, having done this not only for Firstbeat, but a few other companies as well. It seems to be a trend that keeps coming up. And that's something that I spend a lot of time with professionals such as Mel to discuss. How can we really pinpoint those characteristics in the talent pool?
I was actually going to ask that from Mel right now. Do you have a special pool of those kind of people that Toby mentions? There must be a whole new group of people who are looking precisely for these entrepreneurship kind of challenges, or?
There are definitely people out there that want to work for international businesses, 100%. There is. They might be odd, you know, believe it or not, they might be in Google, they might be in Facebook, they might be in Snap, they might be anywhere, but they want to work for international businesses. You know, we do have to go and find them because every project's bespoke, because everyone's culture is different and unique, and their products are different if they're disruptive. But there's definitely a talent pool that would love to work for Finnish companies. They really genuinely would.
Fantastic. That's
could I add to that? Yes. That just, I think Finnish companies have really good cultures, and taking that culture abroad with you is really important. And that's really appreciated by employees and talent. That's what I found. Mel, what do you think?
Do you know what? I totally agree. And I mean, look, I'm not going to get super excited, but I've been to Finland, I've been to Slush. I think it's probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I'd like to work for a Finnish company. So if anyone's hiring, no, but the culture's amazing. And, you know, bring your culture with you, because that's what people are attracted to culture. And people say, and organisations doing what they say and saying what they do. And that's why the interview process is the most important thing. But totally agree with you on that, Toby. Bring your culture with you, and then you can rebuild HQ.
What a fantastic piece of advice. And I'm sure that's a mistake that is easily made, where you think you need to adapt to the culture you're going to. So that's, I think, is a gem to take away today, actually. Now, if you were to have a tech company looking to expand in London, what kind of tips would you have to start building your network there? Where would you hang around?
I've got a little saying here. I'm sure, Toby, I'm going to go after you on this one, because I know.
Now you've piqued my interest. You go first.
No,
okay, I'll go first. So there are a wealth of different networking opportunities in the UK, especially in London. There's several a day. You just need to be active. Getting in touch with DIT, other institutions that help with sort of corporate matchmaking, with just meeting like-minded individuals, meeting industry-specific people. You need to be active. You need to get out there and just have those discussions and make yourself known. Meet people. People buy from people. So, I mean, it depends on where you operate and what kind of business you operate is where you need to hang out. Obviously, going to the pub when it's permitted again is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I second that. It's ridiculous, the network that you can build, the amount of coverage you can do in such a small time, honestly, a small amount of time. People are in the UK. People want to collaborate. There are innovation hubs. There are companies like DIT that are just brilliant. There's London and Partners. There is, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And never underestimate the power of your network. There's lots of VCs. There's lots of founders. If you're a female founder, there are so many networks of female founders where you can ring them up, you can Zoom them. Everyone's accessible now. So now is the time. This is easier to do. But as Toby said, get out there, meet people. It's unbelievable. It's just ridiculous. The support system is that good. And there's always stuff going on. I mean, you could be doing, it's what New York used to be. I don't know, for me, 6 or 7 years ago, you could do 3 or 4 things a day, a night. Isn't it, Toby? It's just crazy, right?
Exactly. And there are lots of Finns meet Finns, ask them, ask for experiences, what to do, what not to do, what are the pitfalls. Just, yeah, the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, never underestimate the power of your network, because those are the individuals that will help you and put yourself in space. But one thing I will say, don't run around like a headless chicken, and that's through experience. Really be focused. Why do you want to meet him? How do you want to meet him? And what does that mean to you? And if it's business or fun, etc. But I think we're just giving you a really positive, like, it's brilliant, isn't it, Toby?
I want to go to London right now. Sounds absolutely amazing. And I think you raised a really good point about all the different networks that exist in terms of maybe I hope Andrew might bring some more information onto this as well later on, but already starting to build your network from Finland before. Now we can't travel, but I'm sure there's a way to get into these networks already. So we'll go into that. But one last questions. We have plenty more for after the Q&A session. But I just wanted to just talk about a little bit about the current situation with the pandemic right now. What do you see companies doing in London right now? Are they hiring?
Can I answer this?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. In March, it slowed down for obvious reasons. Things went on pause, or people pulled their roles. Polar opposite. We're not back where we were, but we're getting in the right direction. In terms of our international companies, they're back. And they're back, and they're hiring, and they're back, they're landing and expanding. So internationally, North American companies have pushed the button again, and we are back talking, we are winning searches, and we are helping them find talent. Domestically, again, hiring. I mean, you just need to see about the VC, the funding. Companies like Hopin got £125 million 2 weeks ago. There's lots of VC money, there's lots of hiring. It's across the board, commercial, tech, business operations, creative and marketing. Everyone started to hire again, and it's an uptick. And where we're going to be in 6 months, I don't know, because at the moment, I mean, we're hiring now again. We're hiring to find recruiters to hire for all these wonderful companies that are hiring. Toby, I don't know what you're seeing.
Well, I think what we're seeing is that the market is definitely coming back. There's a lot of discussions. Companies have realized that the world doesn't stop, even though the pandemic's raging. You have to find new ways, different ways of doing things. And that's why I'm going back to what we mentioned in the beginning of this session is keep pushing. If you are going to internationalize, there is no right time, there is no wrong time, just do it. If it fits your strategy, your vision, then you need to keep pushing. So from that perspective, definitely seeing the UK market being more open than it was 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, now is the time. If you're a tech business, I keep saying it, and you're disruptive, 7 months is like 7 years. You've just got to get on with it and get it done. And now actually is a perfect time to do it. Oddly.
Exactly. And this is where huge customers are still looking to and have made a lot of investment in digital solutions. So this is the time. They've been using this time to make that digital leap. And I think once we get through this pandemic, we'll see that the ones who made that leap and did that jump, they'll be the winners. And the ones who were a little bit too conservative may come out a little bit less positive.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Such a positive and inspiring note there. I'm excited for all the companies that are heading over that way. I want to join them. We'll come back to you. Thank you, Mel and Toby. We'll come back to you with some questions in a little bit. But now I would like to introduce to you Andrew Elwick, who heads up the Technology and Creative Industries team at the Department of International Trade at the Investment Services over in the UK. So a colleague of Sara and Mari working directly with these international companies entering the UK market, and you've helped and supported hundreds of international companies, and we can't wait to download all the information from your brain right now and learn from what you have to share. So welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mel and Toby for doing a lot of my job for me. Thankfully, I'll be reiterating a lot of what they've said because it's absolutely true, but I would absolutely love to bottle your enthusiasm for the UK and spread it across the globe because, as I think, you've been a fantastic advocate for UK business and UK tech. So as mentioned, I'm Andrew Elwick. I head up the technology and creative team for the investment services team within DIT. So I work very closely with Sarah and Marie in Finland. Essentially, we are the UK business support function for DIT. So we work with companies entering the UK market. We work with companies who've entered the UK market to ensure they grow and succeed as much as possible. You know, we are a UK point of contact. You know, we'll hold the company's hand as much as you need or as little as you need to ensure, as I say, we've done everything in our power to help you make the best of the situation and make the best success of your business. How do we do that? So I suppose I'll link that to some of my key points in terms of what I think makes a good UK business or good UK business entry, which again chimes in with what's been mentioned. So the first thing is it's a provision of information. So we have a plethora of information sources, whether it's subscriptions or sort of bespoke information we can tailor to your needs around what's going on in the market, comparative analysis, competitor analysis, things around talent pools, you know, all of those key things you would like to know about about the UK for your business. We can provide that information, which can be inputted into your own business plans, and to really hammer home a point about doing your due diligence and doing your research. 100% endorse that. Do more research than you think you need would be my main point on that. If you think you've done enough, stop and do a little bit more, because you know that's where I've seen people fall down before in terms of they've not quite put enough emphasis on that upfront research, and we can help you do that. Secondly, connections. Again, never underestimate the strength of your network. I think I'll steal that one, Mel. You know, we can help you get in touch with a lot of the organisations that were mentioned and many more, to help build up your network in the UK, to help build up your understanding of the UK tech and business ecosystem. You know, that could be other government departments. You know, if your products are particularly regulatory heavy, or whether potential government departments are potential sales channels. Could be other business support functions. London and Partners was mentioned. There's a similar one, Midas in Manchester, where Toby's based. You know, they're really strong, internationally focused business organisations, but with a local focus. So, you know, Manchester, London, there's ones dotted all around the UK. Professional service firms. So that'll be, you know, your legal, accountancy, bank, recruitment, etc. Because the one thing I would say is don't try and do it all yourself. There's a lot of free support. You know, the DIT service is free support. Absolutely use that. But in some instances, for things like registering your business or getting your business legally registered, getting that first 1, 2, or 3 recruitment going, the first staff, you know, that money that you used, that money you will pay to for those professional service firms, it's not a lot of money for what you will get back for it, and it will just take that burden off you, and let the experts do that, rather than you trying to do it yourself while you're trying to get the business up and running, trying to open sales channels. So I would say use the support that is here in the UK, whether it be free or paid for. And then finally, guidance and advice. You know, that you know, as I mentioned, DIT advice comes free, but we've worked. You know, we've got. I think in my team we had over 100 years worth of experience in working in foreign direct investment in tech. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of companies looking to enter the market. We've seen what works. We've seen what doesn't work. You know, one of the points to pick up on about, you know, not changing your business culture, or at least keeping some of your business culture from Finland. I agree with that. What I would say is companies I've seen fall down, and this is typically from companies with a much different business culture than the UK, is when they just try and lift and shift. So they just try and replicate exactly what they've got in their home market in the UK, and often won't listen to the advice that, look, that isn't going to work, or you need to tweak this. That's where I've seen companies fall down. So yes, I believe it's, you need to maintain a strong business culture as an employee, but in terms of a UK entity, there are tweaks you may need to make. So you need to be open-minded about entering the market. So that's what we do in a nutshell. In terms of just the process, it's really easy to register a business in the UK. As I mentioned, you can do it from as little as probably about €50. I would, as I say, always advocate using an expert, excuse me, an expert to do that. But it's a very quick online process. Opening a bank account can be a challenge. We have seen that from multiple areas. We do have a sort of in-house expert who can help you navigate that within DIT. But again, it's just making sure your corporate structure is transferable to the UK, so it's not too dissimilar. There needs to be UK directors and things like that. But again, we've got the specialists to help. In terms of getting that first employee, again, we can tell you where the talent pools are, but there's recruiters, etc., who can help. I would say in that first employee, if you're looking at a general manager or a business development manager, don't scrimp. You get what you pay for ultimately. So if you try and do it on the cheap, you'll get a cheap service. And again, another thing I've seen from companies is trying to just use somebody they know in the UK. So whether that person is fit for the job or not, because there's a personal relationship there, using that person, that's not always the right thing to do, and it hasn't been that successful in my experience. So, make sure that first employee, like the first customer, is the most important one. So make sure that you spend accordingly. And just in terms of sort of why the UK, we've talked quite a lot. As I said, I won't go on this too much because Mel and Toby have mentioned it, but talent is the big one. We've got a lot of talent, diverse talent. I would say because of the pandemic and virtual working, people perhaps, it used to be all about London, but because the people who've left London several years ago, they can now work for a London-based firm whilst they're sat in Newcastle, like I am, or sat in Manchester, because of the virtual working. So I think that's brought the talent pool that perhaps had left London back into the market. So talent, absolutely. The innovation ecosystem in the UK is second to none. So whether that be the universities, whether that be the research institutes, whether that's the research going on within the big corporate companies, that drives the whole innovation agenda, which is underpinned by different tax credits and different innovation grants. If you are disruptive, as we've talked about, there are a lot of funding available, whether it be that side of things from innovation or whether it be from venture capital. London is still one of the best places in the world to raise money. And then just finally, in terms of the business opportunity, every single 50% of the projects we work on, and there's about 200 new entrants to the tech market every year from overseas in the UK. A heavily growing number from the Nordics and Finland as well. 50% of those are business to consumer. So, there is a real thirst for technology in the UK, that everyone's very tech savvy, except myself. And, so that is driving a lot of it. But the vertical markets, every single vertical market is digitalizing at a rapid pace. We've talked about healthcare, we've talked about education. This is heavily pandemic based. That's been amplified by the pandemic. E-commerce and retail, but financial services has been, on a huge digitalization journey. Manufacturing, really has to digitalize. Food production, every single vertical market you can think of is digitalizing at a rapid pace. And the big one at the moment is clean growth and energy. So if you have products in that area, that the UK really is one of the places you want to be. So yeah, happy to answer questions, happy to be, if people want to look me up on LinkedIn, follow, continue the conversation. Your first point of call should be Sarah and Marie, but we work hand in glove together to ensure we provide the best service possible. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Andrew. That is literally 100 years of experience in a nutshell. We could go on, and we hopefully will go on. We have a second part of this program planned, so we will make sure that we get a big slot for you there then as well, so that we can learn even more. I think it's fantastic, all the information and insights you've given, and I guess for all the companies listening, with this kind of experience, I don't think there is a single situation that you could bring forward that Andrew and his team hasn't already seen, right? So you can literally help in any given circumstance. Okay, so now we've still got some time for Q&A. We've had some questions through in the chat. We've had some questions through other channels as well. So I don't know, Sara and Mari, would you like to take some questions from the chat and direct them to the guests, please?
Sure, sorry, yeah, classically I was still on mute. But yeah, very interesting comments and questions here. I wanted to know a bit more about the challenges in the UK, and is there something special to keep in mind? So I don't know if you want to comment, Toby or Melina, briefly on that.
Well, I think it's very reasonable to just highlight that internationalization is hard. It's hard work. So be realistic about it. That even though it's very exciting, it's fantastic. I love doing international business. Don't forget that it's hard work. It's hard work to take your business that you've grown in one country into a new country. I think Andrew perfectly summed up the fact that don't plaster your culture in a different country. Take the best parts and then adopt other parts from the country you're entering. So the challenges are that you will find that it's different to work with different types of people. And be mindful of that. Be willing to learn, have an open mind. It sounds like it's just very intangible, but it becomes very tangible when you're in the situation wondering, how am I going to grow my business?
Thank you. And another one interesting from Johan, talking about the funding needs entering UK, what the company should be prepared for. They say that the first person employed in the US costs some 200 plus K. How is the situation in the UK? So maybe Andrew and also, well, Melina, do you have an insight?
Sticking an amount of money on an employee of 200K is incorrect. It depends on the experience, the seniority, the skill sets, where you're going to put them in the UK. It's a moving target. It's more about understanding what you need and desire from that individual and their experience. It's not as simple as saying, I mean, that does sound like that sounds like a GM role. So that sounds like a really serious company coming and, finding a GM that will build lots of teams at speed. That's that kind of, so. Toby?
Yeah, and that's what he mentioned, that it's for in the US, for example, that in comparison to the UK would be same level or...
So in the US,
I think
US pay about 25, we've done some surveys around this, they pay about 25 to 30% more on their basic salaries than what we do in the UK. So it is cheaper to set up in the UK from a people perspective, absolutely.
And I think, I mean, even though there is a huge pool of talent in the UK, competition is much, much more fierce. So going to Andrew's point, that if you want to hire talent, you can't be too stingy. And that's why using the expertise and the support like Mel, like DIT, is to understand what is the correct amount to be investing for what you're looking for. I think that's sort of what I would, how I would approach the subject.
And from the point of view of incorporating the entity in the UK, so that's also very basically free or very low cost. I don't know if Andrew would like to comment briefly on the costs of
yeah, I mean,
setting up a UK entity.
I suppose in terms of a basic setup, it can be anywhere from sort of 50 euros to 300 euros. So it's not a huge amount. It depends on the complexity of of the business. It depends on whether you do it yourself or whether you use a professional service firm. And if you use a professional service firm, there's obviously different things that they can do for you within that. But it is really cheap to do it in a very basic way. But as I mentioned, you know, if you have a complex structure or you're looking to do something a little bit complex in the UK, it's always worth paying that little bit extra and using the experts. Mm.
And then also a very interesting comment about talent in the UK from Aya as well. And she mentioned that interviewing people in London a long time ago, she noticed that you couldn't really trust on what people wrote in the CVs, and you needed to test their skills much more than in Finland. And she gave an example of recruiting some coders for simple programming. I used to do to all coders a simple programming test, and over 60% of applicants who apply to a job to be a programmer for that language could not code it practically at all. So any comments on related to that?
Yeah, quite a few comments actually. That's why the process needs to be super clear, super efficient, super structured. When you're interviewing tech people, they get a test. They always get a test. You do the test even before you do anything else, because if they don't pass a test, they haven't got the right skills. And then, do people lie? I think it's the way you interview, and it's about asking the right questions and designing the right job spec. So actually you get the right candidates that are in line with what the skills that you're asking for. So there's a lot going on there, but yeah, I mean, from a tech perspective, and there's psychometric testing as well. And equally, always, this is so basic, always take references. So if you're using someone like us, we will do that anyway. But if you're doing it on your own, make sure you take references, especially from a commercial perspective. Commercial people are brilliant at selling themselves. That's what they do for a living. They sell products. So take references. Toby, you've got some input here. I can see you're nodding.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to hire a singer, how do you test that they can sing?
Yeah.
By asking them to sing. And such, but I fully agree. Sort of hiring people is a very difficult thing. That's why I always choose to use professional help in doing that for a company. Sometimes you can't, and you just have to try and do it the best you can. People genuinely believe what they put in their CVs. I don't think that people would lie, but you never know. It depends on what you're looking for and how you interpret what you're looking for.
I've got this saying, and I say it all the time. So if you've listened to me before, I'm ever so sorry. Please accept my apology. It's not about the funding. It's not about the tech. It's about the people. It's the people that pull the levers. It's the people that sell the product. If you don't get the people right, I've seen this so many times, cutting corners, cutting costs. And as Andrew alluded to, getting people that are just not right for the role. And it just slows companies down, not by months, but by years. So spend the time, energy, and the process getting it right to find the right people. It will literally just accelerate your business.
And that's one of the earlier questions. What are the challenges having wrong people in your company? That's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We only have 1 minute left. I would continue 2 hours more if I could, and we will in the next episode. I would like to thank our amazing guests, Mel, Toby, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sara, Mari. You've really opened up the picture to everyone. To all of our viewers in the audience, please answer the feedback questionnaire in the chat form. Talk to us, get in touch, ask us questions. All of us are available to help you. Mel, with her incredible experience, Toby as well, Andrew, we're here to help you all. So get in touch, get in contact via LinkedIn if you wish, or directly. Sign up for the next episode, and good luck with heading to the UK market. I can't wait to hear your success story. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Take care.
now.
Bye-bye.